Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to start getting into over-rendering. This is more so aimed for performers that are using over-rendering in their stages, however this can be applied to several different things from assets to anything really, so take this as you will. To get started, I like to add a reference plane into my scene so I know roughly what the world's going to be at, because the default game object is going to be around what most worlds render queues are. So I'm going to add a plane and set it to the default position and leave that there. Next, I'm going to be adding a sphere to my scene and zeroing it out, and I'm also going to be making it size 50 all around. I'm going to then remove this sphere collider because if this touches any portals, you're going to get yeeted through them, and it can also cause conflictions with certain particles that have collisions on. Next, you're going to go ahead and make your material. I'm going to be naming this example, and I'm also going to be naming my sphere example. Go ahead and set your material to Poyomi. I'm using Pro, but Toon works just fine. And we're going to be opening up the render tab and paying attention to the render queue here at the bottom. So for your backgrounds, you're going to be setting this to off, that way you don't have any culling, and your z-test is going to be an always. And then down here, you're going to set this to 4400. This is going to be a layering system, you'll notice, going through the render queues, so it's just going to be a matter of getting certain numbers higher or lower than one another. Next, I'm going to go ahead and apply my example material to the sphere, and as you can see, I'm already over-rendered. However, this is not going to be the case for most avatars when you're first setting it up. Mine is already set up to have over-renders, so my materials are already rendering at 4600 and less equal, which is what you're going to want all your materials to be at. You may also note that the plane we added earlier is no longer showing up either, so any world that we're over-rendering in should be disappearing at this point too. Now, anything else that you want to show up between the over-render and yourself, such as particles or screen effects, those will also need to fall somewhere in your numbering system. So if you're using particles, then you're going to want them to be roughly the same settings as your material. So again, clicking on it, you're going to want your materials to roughly be around 4600 and have them less equal to be able to show up in front of the render queue and with your avatar. Depending on the screen effect that you're using, you may or may not have the option to adjust the render queue. If you do have the option to adjust the render queue, I recommend setting it to max, which is currently 5000. That way it will show over top of your avatar and your over-render and anything else in between. Some extra tidbits to do with this over-rendering is for those who are keyframing or doing any type of animations with them, you can animate on them like anything else. Since this is created with Poyomi, you can do dissolves, you can use different Poyomi Pro features, and you can animate it to your liking, and you can add all sorts of customizability from textures to glitter to dissolves, and you name it. I hope this tutorial helps, and if you guys have any questions or want to see any other tutorials, feel free to reach out in my Discord, and I hope you guys have a lovely day.